If you've been wanting to have a new house and you find it difficult to imagine yourself being in that house, listen to this story by this amazing couple that attended Neville's lecture. This is case 8 in The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. The man and wife in this story have attended my lectures for a number of years. It is an interesting illustration of the conscious use of this law by two people concentrating on the same objective at one time. So this couple focused on one objective, having a new house. This man and wife were an unexceptionally devoted people. Their life was completely happy and entirely free from any problems or frustrations, and that is because they were always using the law of assumption. For some time, they had planned to move into a larger apartment. The more they thought about it, the more they realized that what they had their hearts set on was a beautiful penthouse. In discussing it together, the husband explained that he wanted one with huge window looking out on a magnificent view. The wife said she would like to have one side of the walls mirrored from top to bottom. They both wanted to have a wood-burning fireplace. It was a must that the apartment be in New York City. So these people knew exactly what they wanted in a great detail. They wanted that thing, and they wanted that mirrored side of the house. They wanted that window, that overlooking Central Park. They wanted the things in detail. They wanted it in an exact form. For months, they had searched for just such an apartment in vain. In fact, the situation in the city was such that the securing of any kind of apartment was almost an impossibility. They were so scarce that not only were there waiting lists for them, but all sorts of special deals, including premiums, the buying of furniture, etc., were involved. So these people were really serious about that. They started to take action. They started to go about their days actually looking for that house and getting everything ready, because once they get that penthouse, they will move everything into it and they will have it just as they planned. So they are now trying to change the world matter to matter. They are looking after things. They are running after it. New apartments were being leased long before they were completed, many being rented from the blueprints of the building. Early in the spring, after months of fruitless seeking, they finally located one, which they seriously considered. It was a penthouse apartment in a building just being completed on Upper Fifth Avenue, facing Central Park. It had one serious drawback. Being a new building, it was not subject to rent control, and the couple felt their yearly rental was exorbitant. In fact, it was several $1,000s a year more than they had considered paying. That penthouse was just not suitable for them because of the price. During the spring months of March and April, they continued looking at various penthouses throughout the city, but they always came back to this one. Finally, they decided to increase the amount they would pay substantially and made a proposition which the agent for the building agreed to forward to the owners for consideration. So they decided that it's all good. I'm gonna pay for that. It's not a big deal. I'm gonna pay that extra money. It was at this point, without discussing it with each other, each determined to apply the law of assumption. It was not until later that each learned what the other had done. So this couple, each one of them, decided to apply the law of assumption without telling the other that they are doing it in their imagination. Night after night, they both fell asleep in imagination in the apartment they were considering. The husband, lying with his eyes closed, would imagine that his bedroom windows were overlooking the park. He would imagine going to the window first thing in the morning and enjoying the view. He felt himself sitting on the terrace overlooking the park, having cocktails with his wife and friends. All throughout enjoying it, he filled his mind with actually feeling himself in the penthouse. Remember, Feeling is the secret. He is filling his mind with the idea that it is done. During all this time, unknown to him, his wife was doing the same. So not only him, but his wife were imagining the same thing together. Several weeks went by without any decision on the part of the owners, but they continued to imagine as they fell asleep. They were persistent. They didn't give up for weeks, not hours or days. They decided to take it to the next level, to persist until it hardens into fact. Because remember, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Several weeks went by without any decision on the part of the owners, but they continued to imagine as they fell asleep each night that they were actually sleeping in that penthouse. One day, to their complete surprise, one of the employees in the apartment building in which they lived told them that the penthouse there was vacant. They were astonished because theirs was one of the most desirable buildings in the city, with a perfect location right on Central Park. They knew there was a long waiting list of people trying to get an apartment in their building. The fact that a penthouse had unexpectedly become available was kept quiet by the management because they were not in a position to consider any applicants for it. Upon learning that it was vacant, this couple immediately made a request that it be rented to them, only to be told that this was impossible. The fact was that not only were there several people on a waiting list for a penthouse in the building, but it was actually promised to one family. Despite this, the couple had a series of meetings with the management, at the conclusion of which the apartment was theirs. The building being subject to rent control, the rental was just about what they had planned to pay when they first started looking for a penthouse. Now, everything is conspiring around them to give them what they imagined. The location, the apartment itself, and the large terrace surrounding it on the south, west, and north was beyond all their expectations. And in the living room, on one side is a giant window, 15 feet by 8 feet, with a magnificent view of Central Park, just as the husband imagined. One wall is mirrored from floor to ceiling, just as the wife imagined, and there is a wood-burning fireplace, just as they both wanted. So not only they got a penthouse that they wanted, they got every single detail in that house that they imagined. They wanted that window, they got it. They wanted that mirrored wall, they got it. They wanted that fireplace, they got it. They got every single thing they imagined. Why? Because they applied the law regardless of the circumstances around them. For weeks, they imagined themselves in such a home, in such a penthouse. And this is the key to actually apply the law. Know what you want. They knew what they wanted. They were not wishy-washy. They knew that they wanted this house with everything in place. And they got it. Because they imagined it vividly, night after night. For weeks, they didn't give up. They persisted. They knew that there was only one consciousness. And once they are shaping their mind to have that house, they will get it. Because remember, imagination is the only reality. When you imagine something, it will harden into fact if you give it feeling. Because an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. And this is why in my ebook, I talked about creating a feeling state using mudras, like the thing that you use with your hands like this and that and whatnot. A simple mudra that you can use to create a feeling state. Every time you do that certain mudra, your body will actually feel as if it is done. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe to the channel. Like to reach more people. Tell me down below in the comments, what do you want to see next? Check out the ebook in the description box. And until next video, I'll see you soon.